Good evening, everyone, in person and on Zoom, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the February 11th, 2026 Public Works Infrastructure Commission. It is 6:30 p.m. With that, I'll call on Commissioner Kuo to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, thank you. Our first item on the agenda is general public comment. So these are items that we won't be discussing later on. If anyone has any general public comment in person, you can fill out a card up front, or on Zoom, you can raise your hand. We'll give everyone a second. Any?
There are none at this time.
All right. Moving on to agenda item two.
Oh, sorry, Chair. Do we want to do roll call?
Oh, sure. Philip, will you please call the roll?
Okay. Vice Chair Brunel, let me know that she's unable to attend today's meeting. Commissioner Kerwin,
Here.
Commissioner Kuo, Commissioner Sharma,
Here.
Chair Dunlap.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you for that reminder. Appreciate it. Feel free to interject anytime. I'm a little rusty at this. So agenda item two is reordering of or additions or deletions to the agenda. Does anyone have any just general public comment? All right.
Not for general.
Does anyone have any changes they'd like to make to the agenda tonight? All right. Seeing none, I'll move on to our first action discussion item. That is City Engineering and Traffic Survey Report. So I think this is the second time this item has been presented to us, and we have an update tonight. So I'll turn it over to city staff. Bassam?
Good evening, Commissioners. Item number 3 before you is the 2025 Citywide Engineering Traffic Survey. As Chairman just mentioned, this is really the second time we're presenting this engineering traffic survey. California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices require local jurisdictions to conduct an engineering traffic survey every 5, 7, or actually 10 years. And then with the presence of the AB 43, we now can extend the study to 14 years if the engineer determines that there are no significant changes to the roadway that would have affect existing. The last time the city conducted the engineering and traffic survey was back in October 2014. So now we're due for a new engineering and traffic survey. In February 2025, staff hired the firm of Miniger and Associates to perform the engineering and traffic survey. Miniger and Associates is the same company that actually performed the 2014 study as well. So in May 2025, staff presented the commission with the findings of the new engineering and traffic survey, and the commission has questions and wanted to discuss some additional areas. So we're back here today to present you with the new revised 2025 Citywide Engineering Survey, and also to address the questions that were raised in the previous meeting. Just quickly to redefine what is the engineering and traffic survey. It's a survey of highway and traffic conditions in accordance with methods determined by the Department of Transportation for use by state and local authorities. There are a few important factors that must be included in every engineering and traffic survey, and those are the prevailing speeds, accidents record, and the highway traffic roadway conditions that are not readily available for drivers. This new 2025 citywide ENT actually took into consideration all the requirements that, as listed by the California Vehicle Code and the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, and also took into consideration AB 43. Additionally to the three important components, these are other factors that can be taken into consideration. And in our case, we actually included all the listed factors we see here. So here are the questions that were raised in the previous meeting. We'll go over them and we'll address them for you. Question number one, why was Tim's reporting system used instead of the sweaters for analyzing the accident history? Actually, the Tim's reporting system does not substitute for sweaters, but it's rather a visualization tool built on raw sweaters data. So we did take that raw sweaters data as part of the Tim's reporting. Also, it must be noted that since January 2025, actually, the Sweaters reporting system is no longer available to the public and has been replaced with the California Crash Reporting System. Question number two. Mission Street is considered a business district per CVC definition. So why the prima facie speed of 25 miles per hour not used instead of the recommended 30 miles per hour in the ENTS report? We took these questions back and discussed it with our consultant, and accordingly, we actually lowered the speed to 25 miles per hour on segment number 43 on Mission from Pasadena Avenue to Orange Grove, and segment 44 from Orange Grove to Brent Avenue. Question number three was several complaints of speeding and near misses were made on Orange Grove, given the fact that frontage developments are primarily residential. So why AB 43 was not applied to lower the speed to 25 miles per hour? Again, we took this back to our consultant and we discussed it, and we found it reasonable to actually lower the speed limit on Orange Grove between Columbia to State Route 110 to 25 miles per hour. Question number four. The ENTS report shows that new speed limits to be established on segments 55, 57, and 58. These segments has speed limits established in the 2014 report. So why new speed limits needs to be established? We actually got a clarification from our consultant that these are not new speed limits. However, it was, I guess, their way of reminding us that we need to install speed limit signs on those streets. Question number five, why wasn't AB 43 taken into consideration to lower speed by 5 miles per mile per hour on some of the high-speed streets in the city? Actually, while AB 43 gives the flexibility to lower speed limits, it actually has certain conditions where it can be lowered versus where it can stay, it cannot be lowered. So the reason that it wasn't really applied on most of the major streets simply because it cannot be lowered automatically because of the perceptions that we get that there are speeding, and that still requires justification under land's use context. The other reason, obviously, on streets or major arterial streets designed for high-level travel, these have to be follow the normal process of an engineering and traffic survey. So this revised ENTS study updated some segments where the reduction was deemed acceptable. Question number six is on Arroyo Drive, segment 39, the 85th percentile was 35 miles per hour. So why the speed limit was not lowered to 30 miles per hour? Again, taking advantage of AB 43 and after discussions with our consultant, we were able to reduce the speed limit by 5 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour. So in summary, what we have come up with the revised engineering traffic survey in front of you today is we were able to lower the speed limits by 5 miles per hour on 5 segments of the roads that were studied in the report. Additionally, we are now lowering all speed limits on streets adjacent to schools to 15 miles per hour instead of the posted 25 miles per hour. This
And
is just,
is that all day or is that just when children are present?
I'm sorry.
The 15 miles per hour, is that all day or just when children are
No, it's going to be when children are present.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So this is just a snapshot of what's in the report showing the citywide with the proposed speed limits as color coded as you see here. And in the next few slides, we showed all the streets that were in the study. And in the last two columns, it shows the before and after.
But Sam, can you go back to the map just for a second? Because I know we have folks in the public who
Yes.
might want to spend some time like looking at this.
Okay.
So if we go
There.
back to the map,
This one?
yeah, the streets in red are 40 miles per hour, right?
Yes,
The orange are 35 miles per hour proposed.
correct.
Green are 30 miles per hour. I mean, blue is 30 miles per hour and green is 25 miles per hour.
Well, we didn't show in this map, which are the prima facie on the local residential streets. And also, it doesn't show the 15 mile per hour reduction of the speed near the schools. So with that, our next step is we're bringing this for your review and also to make a recommendation to City Council to adopt the study findings and report. After the City Council adopts the ENT report, we will be posting the speed limit signs according to the new recommendations. And once they are posted, we will work with the police department to start enforcement. We just need to keep in mind that for the streets where we lowered the speed limit signs, usually there is a 30-day period of giving warning rather than start issuing citations to the public. With that, I conclude the presentation and happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Bassam, and thank you for the presentation. And I see you answered a lot of the questions and incorporated a lot of the comments that we had at our first meeting. I'd like to do one round of questions, perhaps, and then we'll do public comment, and then we'll probably have some more time for questions and discussion. Start, Commissioner Guo.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Bassam. Great presentation. I got a couple of questions, but some of these are pretty quick. I understand there's a Mission Slow Street initiative coming up. How does that interact with this recommendation?
Very good question. And right now we lowered it to 25. However, once the Mission Street takes effect, depending on really how it's going to be designed and if there is any road dice or what have you, there is a possibility we might be able to even lower it to 20 because it becomes part of the business district.
Okay, then I will recommend adding that, just like you added the school reduction for school, just so it's clear to the public and also to the council as you move forward to the next step. And speaking of the 15 miles per hour limitation, I think that's a welcoming thing for the city, for the residents. If you could reflect that in this map and also the table before you move up to the city council, I think that would be really good. I think there's some misunderstanding because they're simply looking at color. So maybe that would save us a lot of time if we could make that change before we move forward to the next step. And related to that, maybe you want to clarify how does a 15 miles per hour zone apply to, say, those areas near the high school and middle school? Because there are some streets around there that may not lower to 15 based on what you're recommending.
And thank you very much for bringing this because I want to make clear for the commission and public here. Although we lowered the speed limits literally to 15 miles per hour, but however, on Fair Oaks, where it's fronting the middle school, we kept the speed limit at 25 miles per hour because we couldn't lower it any further than that.
Okay.
Same thing happened on Fremont in front of the high school. Just on Fremont, but the surrounding street is still 15. But on Fremont, it remains at 25 miles per hour due to the given roadway conditions, of course, of street the size of Fremont.
Yeah. Thank you for that clarification. I think if you can make that change to the map, that would be really nice. And my last comment and question is on the speed limit. I know yeah, the next step is you show that is to present to the police department or on the enforcement side. I was just curious, as we go through this process, was there any coordination aspect with the police department because they're going to be, one of the key users of enforcing this? I think there's some safety components, efficiency of how they deal with traffic. I think we would be really useful to get their input. So I'm not sure what that's like, but I hope that was being considered. So
Yeah,
thank
we
you.
are in coordination with the police department at all time, and up to this point, they are still using the existing speed limits as to enforce speed limits on our streets. And again, as I mentioned in the earlier, that the speed limit is still good up to this point because of the 10-year and 14 years. So once we get the adoption from the council, they will be starting enforcing the new speed limits.
Okay, and then just, I think I guess my point is, in addition to showing them where the speed limits are, the changes will be, I think it would be important to get the input, especially on, I'll point out, for example, on Mission Street. I see there's an abrupt change on Brent,
Yes.
lowering from 5 miles per hour before we go into the intersection.
Oops, sorry.
If I'm not paying attention, I may be subject to one of the police enforcement not being aware that there's such an abrupt change at that street, right? So this is really where we draw the boundary. Does that support the police operation and how to do traffic control? I think that's also important.
And also, when we install the speed limit signs, we put them in a strategic way that as you enter that section of the road, you'll be aware that it is 15, but then when it changes, 25, and then when it changes back to whatever normal speed, you'll see another speed limit sign. Sometimes we might use a really visual sign that says, increase in speed limit or decrease or something like that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Corwin.
I was just going to ask, on Mission Street, it says that it does not meet the CVC definition of a business district. Can you clarify what it is required to meet that?
It does meet, actually. It does meet.
Doesn't the slide say it does not?
No, let me just.
Oh, does meet. Yes, I'm sorry. Well, does meet. Okay, my apologies. No further questions.
All right, Commissioner Sharma.
No questions. Thank you.
All right, with that, I'm sure, Philip, do we have any public comment on this item?
Yes, we have two.
All right, we'll take public comment. If you could call out the first speaker.
Okay, first we have Casey Law. Oh, okay.
All right,
Then we have Mike Fazioli. I
and we'll
believe.
go a loose 3 minutes for public comment.
Or something.
No, I got it.
Okay. I just want to set the record straight on this. This thing when they- It's just a mic.
There you go.
Thanks. It's been too long since I've been in front of this, DS. I want to set the record straight. The speed limits around the school have been 15 miles an hour. I was here 6 years ago when the city council established that. I just want to make the record clear. All the signs said 15 miles an hour when students are there. So I want to talk about your consultant because I think your consultant perhaps confused the city and earlier, well, last summer, changed the speed limit from 15 to 25. So it really upset all of us on Marengo Avenue. So it was already at 15. And I would appreciate now seeing a map of where the 15-mile-an-hour zone is going to be. So I think that's a great recommendation. I also want to clarify that the schools' residential streets can be 15 because the approaching streets are 25 or less. Fair Oaks is not 25 or less. So that section in Fremont can only go down to 25, I think. So the reason is the state has said you can only go to 15 if the preceding section is under 25 or less. And then, and Officer Holland, I don't know if you know him, he understands from the police point of view the enforcement of the speed limit. You know, he used to be off there in Marengo all the time, and I presume over at Arroyo Vista. Okay, last comment. I really question the consultant. Really, the powers that be need to reconsider or take this into account. That report did the city a real disservice. It did not address the school systems. It even went out of its way to say the school zones are 25. Page 8 doesn't say they are 15. No place does it say there's 15-mile-an-hour speed zones in the city. They ignored that. The only place it's mentioned when they put in the text for the, from the state code that does this 15-mile-an-hour exception. So I think someone needs to look at that consultant. That's very unprofessional of them, because I think they prompted the city to change all the signs from 15 to 25, and now they're going to go back. And then lastly, the speed radar survey makes no sense. It says that Marengo Avenue, only one car is going under 22 miles an hour, even though when that study was done, the 15-mile-an-hour signs were up. So the consultant needs to be looked at and challenged on the school zone. This city has more students than a typical city. And I think the traffic situation should take that into account. Sorry for the extra time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Next, we have Casey Law.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to speak on this. I appreciate everything the city's done and this commission's done to help improve safety, and that happens in many ways through speed control. One detail I wanted to ask for clarification on, maybe can come up, is on the map, Pasadena Avenue near Arroyo Vista is within 500 feet of the school, and it's 30 miles per hour. I don't understand how when children are present would be implemented there. That was not discussed, so that it also seems a little odd to have a 30 there when it connects to a 25. So it might be worth considering it for further reductions at the very least, because it's near a school. Let's see. And then another thing I wanted to mention was I'm a little put off by the term some streets were deemed to be appropriate for AB 43 implementation. In my look at the document, the state law, and review of facilities that are adjacent to these streets, I found something like 20 or so segments that were appropriate for my amateur view. So near a senior facility, near a school, business district, be interpreted in a number of ways. And that can be 5 miles per hour below the 85th percentile, which isn't necessarily bring it down to 25, right? We're talking about 30 relative to 35, that sort of change. I would really like to have that be considered here further if possible. I find Monterey Road to be extremely unsafe and scary. I live there, and I tell my child to ride on the sidewalk when they ride their bike to school. That's because it's really unsafe. Another thing I wanted to note, if you're considering speed limit reductions near schools, there's also AB 382, which came into effect this year. That is a 20 mile per hour speed limit near schools, mandatory, but it's implemented in 2031. And you have the option of changing it to 20 now. If you change it to something that's inconsistent with the future requirement, you might have to change signs again in the year 2031, I think, potentially. For example, if it's when children are present that it's 15, it implies it's 25 outside of that, and that wouldn't be inconsistent with AB 382 after the year 2031. So you might be buying signs again in 2031. You could just set it to 20 now or 15 now all day, and that would be consistent with the law after 2031. That's my understanding of how AB 382 works. And then finally, I wanted to note the commission has discretion through AB 43 to implement changes by ordinance. And I don't think that was really discussed in this report. It was sort of, the city deemed and the consultant deemed this to be appropriate here and there. And one way in which you can deem, you can choose to implement that is through changes to the ordinance. So I printed up the ordinance for the city, just 3 pages that are relevant. It sounds kind of scary to change the ordinance, but if you're willing to take a look at that, you can see how it's implemented.
You can continue. We
Okay,
have
thank you.
Extra time. We don't have that many public commenters.
So there's basically a list of streets with speed limits defined. So changing the ordinance is as simple as potentially recommending that one of these numbers be changed down 5 miles per hour, by my understanding. So if you find that there is an unsafe area on this map that you could reduce further, one of the ways you can motivate that by AB 43 is by saying it was increased in 2014. That is a specific rule that in AB 43, if it was increased before because of the 85th percentile rule, you can restore that speed limit to where it was in 2014. Regardless of the land use nearby. And so there were about 4 segments on this map that were increased in 2014, including Monterey. So I hope you could consider reducing speed limits on Monterey back to where it was in 2014 by changing one line in this ordinance. That would be something you could recommend tonight. So I don't want to string this out further because you've seen this twice, but I do feel like there's more we can do. And all of the changes should really be matched with engineering, slow street engineering changes, right? It's not just about signs. We know that doesn't work. And the city has a plan for that. And I'd love to see that start to get implemented through tactical implementations of, curb bulb outs or what have you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Law. Philip, any other public comment? If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. Your virtual hand.
There are none at this time.
All right. Thanks again to our public commenters. Did commissioners that inspire any follow-up questions? Commissioner Sharman?
Yeah, actually just would be curious to hear staff's response to there were a couple things in the, actually in both public comments that I just wanted to get clarification on. First, and I remember we talked about this in the first meeting, but basically for the streets that are not identified as corridors or not marked here, speed limit's 15, right? What's the speed limit for?
The streets that are not identified in the maps are local residential streets, and those have the prima facie of 25 miles per hour.
25. Okay.
Yes.
And then what the second public comment brought up 2 points that I appreciated there, or several points, but the 2 that I was just curious about is about that transition from Pasadena to El Centro and the speed. So about having that stretch there has the higher speed limit at 30. But just I just want to make sure I understand what you were saying in your presentation and that Commissioner Kuo was asking that would be still marked for lower speed when children are present, right? Could you just clarify what the speed would be around the 5 schools?
Okay, so let's say when we talk about signs that says when children are present, these have to be within the school zone. The vehicle code allows 500 feet as a school zone radius, school zone. And actually, with the new AB 43 also, we can even go up to 1,000-foot radius. So if we didn't change it or we didn't put when children are present, that means the area falls behind that 1,000-foot radius. So anything that you see when children are present has to be within either 500 or going all the way to 1,000-foot radius from the school buildings.
Okay. And so you will include, I think, as the prior discussion about making notations that
Correct.
What the school zone would be. Okay. And then, I mean, the last point is, our last question is, I also agree about concerns with Monterey Road and the speeds there. And so especially with segment 10, segment 10 looks like just a straight road, like the other segments of Monterey, but that is on the city of LA side is a steeper hill. So when you're coming down from the steeper hill to segment 10, you're basically going downhill. So you have a higher speed. And so, I think just sharing that observation, and then also did they consider did the study did it start at the western boundary, or does it consider traffic as it's
From
coming
our side of the street. Begins from our side of the street.
Okay. Because it's just it's a faster, it's a different elevation than, say, the other segments on the more straightaway of Monterey Road, but it doesn't seem like there was any consideration given to that.
That particular segment, I can go back and discuss it with the consultant, see what we can do.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. That's it. Anyone else? I guess, Bassam, the streets that, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to look at the map and see that their street isn't on there, right? Probably because it's prima facie 25. The streets that get chosen, even though they might look like residential street, it's up because their classification is something different. Like Milan, for example. If you ask anyone, they're probably going to say, oh, Milan's a residential street. Why not prima facie? But I see that they did like an ENTS on it. Is that because of the classification?
Correct.
Okay. And then I guess the 15 miles per hour, will that be in the staff report that accompanies this presentation since,
Yes, as
to the public?
recommended, we'll make this modification.
Okay. When will these expire?
The new ones?
The old ones, the 2014.
Actually, we're going with the 10 years rule, and that's basically this year it will expire.
Okay, so if puts a little bit of shot clock on it, and that if some new speed limits are not adopted, if the posted speed limits are not adopted, then they're unenforceable. The existing ones would be unenforceable.
They are if we follow the AB 43 14-year law.
Okay.
But we will have to make sure that nothing has changed significantly so they can continue the enforcement.
Okay, I think. Commissioner Quill?
I got one more quick question. Let's assume this is the recommendation. Do you guys have any understanding of what would be the implementation cost for the city? And is that something city would do in-house, or we have to contract out to install all the signage?
Actually, it will be done in-house. It's a matter of changing the speed limit signs. And on average right now, any sign costs around 250 installed.
Okay, so if you can just tabulate that as part of your report to the council so they understand what is the.
Most of the changes will be on the ones we're lowering the speed limit plus the school 15 miles per hour.
Right, so just order of magnitude so they understand. This. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is that it? So I guess there is an item that says make a recommendation to council. Does anyone have a recommendation that they would like to make?
Just a clarifying question. So I think amongst this discussion, I think we have a few recommendations for staff to include as they move up. So I guess procedural question is, how do we?
Yeah, I think we could make a recommendation to move forward, having the list of items considered or addressed.
Correct. Good evening, Chair Dunlap, member of the commissioner. So your recommendation could be that proceed on to the council for approval with following comments or changes or considerations, and you can make those comments. And if the second commissioner agrees to that, then in seconds, and he gets to vote. So you can make any recommended revisions that the commissioner would like to do.
I do have one more question though. This is surrounding the school. So in your presentation, it says everything will be lowered to 15. Moving forward, are you anticipating everything's going to be a 15 or only 15 when, their children's around? And then the normal speed would be 20, 25 based on the recommendation here.
Okay, there's obviously the rule about school zones. Whenever we're dealing with a school zone, We have to put the word when children are present. And the vehicle code defines when children are present is when any time the children are present in the school, regardless if it's day and night. For example, if there's an evening sports game or what have you in the high school, that will be considered when children are present as well. So school zones have to be when children are present with the 15 miles.
Right. So now is this your recommendation here, setting 15 for both
When children are present.
and what about when children are not present?
It'll be whatever the speed limit on that particular street,
Whatever
the normal
it's
prima.
showing here as recommended by the engineering report.
Yeah, we cannot, like when, again, with the school zone, once we put, say, 25 or even 15 miles per hour, it will be very, it's really probably not recommended by the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices to put two different speed limits on the same, within the same segment. So when the children are present, once the children are not present, sometimes there's no game. So let's say after the school is dismissed, whatever the posted speed limit on other sections of the road continuously, that would be the the regular speed limit.
I get it. So I think that maybe something you want to clarify the difference of that as you make the next presentation. And I think one more thing is related to that. So let's say, for example, some of these schools currently, none of these are 20 or less, right? Normal speed as recommended. And there was a comment about the upcoming changes, and is that something that's been considered? Do we want to do it twice? Do we want to do it now? And not putting you on the spot, but I think it's something to really to think about, because that question will come up again, and I think I hope you guys can think through that as you make the next recommendation. It's a comment, yeah. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I've done these studies before, and it's a balance between what you're allowed to do under the law and how fast you really want people to go. And sometimes people are going 40 and you put a sign up that says 30. A lot of people will slow down to at least like 34, but a lot of people are just going to go how fast they want, which is kind of to our public commenters point. It's important to include some other kind of traffic calming measures. So I see that we need this item needs to move forward just so that we have enforceable speed limits in the city. However, I do see that some of these, just looking at it, they seem a little, I wonder why they're so high, and maybe I haven't looked at the data or the 85th, but you look at streets like Monterey Road, especially west of Pasadena Avenue. I think it's one lane in each direction, and you have that bike facility there. I know we have 800 feet of Collis Avenue, which is basically a residential street before it goes in the city of LA. I think it has something like 4,080 T, and that's like 35. But I doubt we're doing much enforcement on Collis Avenue in that 800-foot section or whatever. And then you see streets like State Street, which are going to be posted 35. And I think a lot of people use that on the 110 South off ramp. You have parking on both sides. It's pretty narrow. You see that and you're like, oh, 35 feels, at least higher than I would be comfortable going. Garfield Avenue on the east side of the city. Lots of fronting residential on the San Marino side, not so much on the South Pass side. But yeah, I guess I don't know if that kind of summarizes where I'm at, but I see that we need something needs to move forward, so we have some enforceable speed limits in the city. But certainly there are potentially some reconsiderations or tweaks that could be made. I appreciate the city staff going back to the consultant and looking at Mission Road and Arroyo Drive, and especially on Mission Street, and applying the business district reduction to that one. But as far as the other streets, I really haven't considered what other reductions can be taken. I don't know if that's a motion or not. I don't think it is.
Yeah,
I think it's
I
just
kind of
like
have
a
the
lot.
same sort of procedural question here is that I agree that we need to make a recommendation, but
Mhm.
it's without, I guess, following Robert's rules of order or whatever, like, can we make a recommendation? I think all four of us have provided comments.
Mhm.
And so can we make a recommendation that includes our comments? I mean, I think, we've talked about making sure we're very clear on addressing school
Yeah.
speeds and speed limits. So I've written that down. I think you and I both sort of made comments about Monterey Road. So I
Okay.
don't necessarily have a concern recommending this, but it would be recommendation with comment, or I don't know what
Let's
proper
yeah,
procedure
let's do
is.
that. I think we can make a motion to move forward this item with um explicit language around the 15 miles per hour school zone and when that's
But I guess I also just want to make sure that we're not going to see this back before it goes to council, right? So
right.
making
That's
sure
are we going to see this back?
no, right?
That's the commission's call. If you want to see it back,
Yeah.
then we will bring it back.
If I may, we could recommend these things that I think for everyone to kind of consider to take a chance at it again. And this can come back as a written item. So we don't need presentation, but I think that will give us some time potentially to go through that process to validate those changes or revisions needed before this is fully presented to the council. That could be an option, but
I mean, I also think it's going to go to council and there's council's going to have some input to it. So, it'll.
And so, I mean, yeah. And so I think we can make a recommendation, but I think my view of what the four of us are saying tonight is that we support what's needed to be done, but we also have comments that we'd like reflected for the record, right? That comments for consideration. So to your point,
Mhm.
the council members are going to have, I'm sure, a lot to say about this, and so it'd be good to have them informed that this isn't just a blanket endorsement on our part. Like,
Okay.
we want some consideration.
Yeah, I think we should try to spell out what those comments are. So if you would say like,
I think it's going to be a team effort, but I think the first one is to provide further clarification around the school zone during when kids are when there are children present and when they're not, and also the consideration for other business districts within the city and its future. I will also add that some of the upcoming ABs, I didn't catch the numbers, but consideration of those, you might want to explain it as a slide. And it gives you an opportunity to explain that. I will stop there and allow others to chime in if that works, unless I need to finish my motion.
yeah, I think I would like to see, re-looking at Monterey Road, especially the western portion of the city that has the bike facility, as well as State Street. It's pretty narrow and Garfield Avenue. Um, and additionally, I think I would like greater clarification, for myself, for the city and the council, like when 20 miles per hour is appropriate. Um, I see we're not proposing any 20 miles per hour, and I think is allowed under AB 43. So if we could at least get some clarification on um, when that might be used. Do you have any, Commissioner Sharma?
Yeah, you covered my Monterey.
Okay.
I was thinking specifically segments 10 and 11 coming off coming down a hill, but I think your comment about Monterey, but just tracking down what you said, I think you commented on Monterey,
Collis, State.
Garfield, and State. I mean, I guess I'm looking to hearing where we're going with this. Are we going down the path that works, or would you like us? I mean, as we're providing, I think several comments, probably up to.
I think we can do that. We can restate these for the record.
Correct. So what I have is I saw the school zone, I saw the business district, and I think you talked about the new regulations. You talked about the third one. You talked about a couple of the segments, Monterey, Sage, and Garfield, and you talked about the rules of the 20 miles an hour.
Yes.
Those are the five I just caught.
Yeah.
So if commission's okay, then what we could do, we could go back provide the response to as we provide the response to the questions that we had in the previous meeting, and we could come back. And if the response that we provide is comfortable with the commission, and then we will get approval from the commission then to go to council, if that's okay.
Sure. That's okay with me. Do you want a formal motion? So
To staff to come back
Yeah.
with
Staff to come back?
response to these five questions.
all right.
Can I add two more? One
for
is it's the coordination with the police on their perspective on enforcement with this new change, proposed
So-
change.
So that I could make a comment on this. So one of the things that we will do is once this gets adopted by the city council, we will do public outreach through social media, through the websites, and we'll do that so that the public is aware of these changes. And then from there, we do need to educate the police department with these changes so that they have to do their due diligence as far as following their protocols, and then we'll coordinate that with the police department. But that portion of it is not going to be a part of the survey and study, but it will be a protocol to implement it. So we will put that as the course of action that we'll do as a staff, but I don't think is necessary to be part of this report. If that's
I agree it's not necessarily as part of the engineering traffic survey, but I think it would be good to demonstrate to the council that the departments are coordinating on these major changes coming to the city and what that means for how the city operates and how we continue to be efficient. And the last point, it's if it ain't financial costs related to all the changes we need to make, just have that as something as part of your report.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Thank
two
you.
other comments will be the make sure that coordination with the public safety enforcement department are being done. The other one is to bring back with the financial implication of this study.
All right. Yeah, thank you. And certainly I think this is an improvement over the first report that kind of came to us, and appreciate you kind of working with your consultant and specifically getting some of the answers around the crash data and, looking at some of those additional streets like Mission Road and Orange Grove and
Monterey.
Monterey. So thank you.
Yeah. So can
Doing
we
it-
get a motion
yeah.
and a vote to allow the staff to come back with this?
All right, I'll move that staff take into consideration those comments. Clarification around the school zone, consideration of the business district, consideration of future legislation, reconsideration of Monterey Road, Garfield and State Street, clarification on 20 miles per hour, input on from police, just
Coordination.
coordination with police, and consideration of financial costs to the city for replacing the signs. All right, I'll make that motion.
Second. Yeah.
All in favor?
Roll call or?
Yeah,
Roll call? Yeah, roll call.
Yep. Commissioner Kerwin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kuo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharma,
Yes.
Chair Dunlap,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, agenda item 4. It's actually my agenda item that I tried to introduce last month, and I was told that it needed to be posted in advance on the agenda for the Brown Act. It's consideration of an ad hoc committee to discuss development of a citywide traffic safety plan. And so this is actually something, an item that was discussed at the council meeting back in November. Was it November when the Fair Oaks project moved forward? And talking a lot about what are the goals of the city as far as safety and pedestrian safety, and wanting to ensure that the decisions we're making at the city are moving us in a direction of creating safer streets. You've seen some jurisdictions adopt Vision Zero initiatives, or you hear some called Towards Zero. They go by several names. But really what those are, it's creating good policies and processes internally at jurisdictions to make sure that safety is incorporated throughout the entire process. And there's redundancy in city processes that our streets are not just we're not just relying on law enforcement to catch people, but we're also recognizing that infrastructure has a role to play in making sure our policies, where we build new development, where we put in bike lanes, where we put in curb extensions. I forgot where I was going, but create conditions that crashes are less likely to result in death or serious injury. So it's processes, but then it's also just good transparency and good city governance for the city to do things like provide an annual update to its residents on street safety. Where are we seeing serious crashes? How many fatal crashes are there occurring in the city? If you ask us, if you ask city staff, maybe they know, maybe they don't know. So there's a lot of stuff that this I think that the city, there's a lot of things that we could undertake. If I'm being, this is not the reason to do it, but we see a lot of grants like the Highway Safety Improvement Program. There's also the Safe Streets and Roads for All program that was created under the bipartisan infrastructure law, which who knows what the next bill will look like. But those programs to get infrastructure money, the city needs some sort of safety plan to qualify for that. I think the city in the past had a systemic safety analysis report that they developed, probably 2019 or 2020, that kind of helped the city qualify for several of those funding sources. But certainly it's not just a one-time report, but it's something that we should commit to as a city and commit to monitoring and evaluating. I'll also say that I didn't call it Vision Zero. I work on a Vision Zero initiative, but it's really up to the city to, as to what it wants to do, if it wants to align with Vision Zero or whether it wants to do its own thing. Certainly, I think it might look different than a lot of Vision Zero initiatives or safety initiatives that we see across the state. You see ones in San Francisco that are very large. They include epidemiologists and the health department and all these sorts of people. We have 3 public works employees sitting here, so I doubt that they'll be able to take on all of the epidemiological work. But certainly there may be small things that we can do as far as infrastructure. Councilmember Ferguson or Mayor Pro Tem Ferguson in the past mentioned having an ideal geometric design for streets, so that when we're resurfacing streets with a pavement program, we're building out what the ideal cross section that we want to see. It could be things like that. It could be things like looking and trying to proactively see where we expect a lot of pedestrian traffic and putting in those pedestrian devices before we have warrants. But at minimum, I would like to kind of set up this year an ad hoc discussion, and this would be an item that we would talk about at every commission meeting. We'd have 2 of us kind of go do some research and come up with maybe some recommendations on what it would look like for the city to take on a safety plan or a Vision Zero initiative or whatever the city wants to call it. So I'm willing to join that. I know Commissioner Brunel from Metro. I don't know if she works at Metro. I think she would also bring some expertise. But if anyone's interested, she's not here. Certainly let you, fight for the right to spend perhaps a Thursday night with me every now and then, talking about what safety might look like in the city. And comments on what I said, if you think there's things that we should take on or not take on, a bad idea.
And just to clarify, it's limited to 2 people based on
Based on the Brown Act.
Based on the Brown Act.
correct?
You'd have to keep 2. It has to stay with 2 unless it's agendized 2.
I mean, we would bring it to the commission. It would be a standing item on the agenda. So whatever work we did, we would have a chance to kind of talk about what was discussed and then provide input to it. And then those 2 commissioners would take it back.
The intent of the ad hoc is to not violate the Brown Act. If you have 3 in ad hoc, the decision is already made. So, and you have already had the discussion. So the intent is to have two commissioners discuss and obtain information as Chair Dunlap
Bring it
is,
back.
and then bring back to the commission and then make the decision at the dais.
Sorry, I was just I think it's a great
Cool.
idea. I think it's a great idea and totally support it. And you answered my question about I think it's great, and I just want to make sure it's empowered to do something. But I think as it's ad hoc and then would come back to us, at least this commission could then take whatever you did and help kind of guide it through the city, and so it's not just like left on its own. So I think it's a great idea, and like
Great.
that you're there. In terms of the second, I mean, it sounds like Commissioner Brunel is very much interested. So I mean, I don't want to tell her when she's not here, but should we
I think
allow her
she-
that
she-
opportunity? And then if for some reason she doesn't want to do it, then we kind of come back to finding a
Yeah,
number two.
I'll say that she has expressed her interests.
Yeah,
like,
which is great.
So,
I support.
certainly she's been working in that sort of space in her
Exactly.
professional capacity. So,
Yeah.
I could see some value there. And then we could bring it before the commission each month and kind of provide an update, and the commission, we could discuss it and provide some feedback or direction.
I think there's several options that you could do. One is to use this, meeting to set up an ad hoc and make the members vote maybe on the next meeting when vice chair is here, or you can make the ad hoc formation here tonight and find the members here tonight, or you can push it off until the next meeting to bring it back when all the members are present. Again, I do believe you have several options. You're not restricted. Okay, since vice chair is not in,
Okay.
we make the vote. You
We'll-
could,
we'll-
or you could wait until
Yeah.
next time.
We'll create the ad hoc tonight. I only have a year on this commission, and this has been on the to-do list for a while. So, we definitely want to wrap this out, and it's free consulting for the city.
Thank you.
I also support the idea. I think it's really good to have that, and you really express your interest and also your passion in this topic. So I can't wait to see where this takes us. I do have a question on maybe more of a process question, right? Because right now we're discussing forming an ad hoc here. It's limited to 2 people. I do think to get this done, we probably want to be more inclusive with including others. So is that the next once we start here and then we move out to maybe at a city level through council motion, and we can include others who's interested to really build that up, and that's so that we can get more buy-in? Or do we want to do that later, or do you want to go straight to that?
Yeah, I think really that's a great question. I think I would say the deliverable of this commission is to put together almost like a scope of work of what the city would take on to creating a safety plan. Certainly this, I don't think we have the resources ourselves to develop that, to do that sort of analysis and the intimate knowledge with city processes to advise on that. So I think we would maybe somewhat put that process together. And then it would be ultimately up to the city staff with council, whether that be through hiring a consultant or, city staff, kind of doing the broader outreach to the entire community, to formalize it and move it to some sort of final plan that's adopted. I see us more of putting together the steps and maybe some early nascent process and ideas that we think that the city should take on. And some high level, probably data analysis. All right. Well, I'll move to create.
I was gonna say, does it need a motion?
Yeah,
Does it need a motion?
probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Move to create an ad hoc for to discuss the development of a citywide traffic safety plan. So I guess the name can be ad hoc committee for development of citywide traffic safety plan.
And then in terms of membership, I'm leaving it to you all.
Yeah,
to
we
just handle
we can
membership. I don't
add
think-
members.
I
at
don't
the
think
next-
we need to.
Yeah, we can.
I
add
don't think we
members
need
at
to
the next
decide that
meeting.
now. Yeah,
I mean, I can discuss it with Commissioner
right.
now.
I mean,
Right now,
my
under
understanding of the
Brown Act
my understanding of the Brown Act is for ad hocs, you could just go ahead, as long as usually the chair and staff of the agency are aware, so you don't violate the 3 and just have the 2. That's all that's needed. So, yeah.
Yeah, anytime we text, that's an ad hoc committee, right? It's just not,
Exactly.
it just isn't formal. All right, second,
I'll second.
great. Philip, call the roll.
Commissioner Kerwin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kuo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharma,
Yes.
Chair Dunlap,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right. Agenda item 5, approval of minutes of special Public Works Infrastructure Commission meeting on January 28th, 2026. It seems like we were just here. There's one amendment that needs to be made that I'm aware of. I believe on the last sentence, the leader of the meeting needs to be Vice Chair Brunel instead of Chair Abelson. So Philip will make that amendment. Any other amendments on the meeting minutes?
I'd like to add to the same sentence, I think the date should be 28th instead of 11th. So we can make that change as well.
Any other changes to the minutes? Do we like the minutes, the length of the minutes? I know we're going back and forth on this.
They're better than they have been in the past. Yeah, I like it.
Great, thank you,
Yep.
Public Works staff. Is there a motion with the amendments to the last sentence to correct the date and correct the vice chair?
A motion to approve with corrections noted.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Do we need to call the roll?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that. Commissioner Kerwin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kuo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharma,
Yes.
Chair Dunlap,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, that's a little silly. With that, I'll turn it over to City Council Liaison Communications. Do we have our liaison on the phone? All right.
I don't believe so.
All right. Commissioner Communications. Any Commissioner Communications?
Happy to.
Commissioner Kerwin?
Sure. So I'll just start. One item, my son he plays baseball. We're at the batting cages all the time. I'll just say that it is a nightmare down there. There's the dog park, there's the skate park, and the batting cages, where there's, usually 2 full baseball teams at a time trying to park in that little lot with a whole bunch of people at the dog park and a whole bunch of people at the skate park. And inevitably there's tons of cars parked, illegally, and then the police come and turn on their lights. Appreciate that they don't just start issuing tickets immediately. They do give people the opportunity at least to see the lights and make their way back and scramble and try to find, a different place to park something. But the recommendation, I think there may be some overlap with the Parks Commission, but there is a public works parking lot on the other side of the dog park where there's usually about 2 or 3 buses kind of parked there, but it seems to be a very large lot that maybe could be repurposed in a better way to make use. I don't know if those buses could park alongside other public, resident vehicles, that sort of thing. But to me, if there were a way to put a entrance to the dog park on the other side and open up some parking, better utilize that parking lot, I would be supportive.
So that is a storage yard that we use. There is a level 3 charger that are there to charge. A couple of level 2 chargers. There also we do throw away some bulky item there for the athletes to pick up. So it is it's a dangerous area where it's not safe for the cars to come in. So it has to be kind of like a storage area of where we have to keep our materials and stuff. So I think parking
Where
there.
the refuse is placed is a small portion of that overall paved area, I guess I would say. I mean, it's not an immediate thing I think can be addressed, but I think something should be looked at long term
Okay.
is to better utilize that it's a pretty large paved area where there is some refuse storage, it looks like, for on a portion of it. But to me, I don't see why residents couldn't park alongside with buses and that sort of thing. There's the fencing would have to be adjusted. Other things, I guess, something we should also just look at other ways of adjusting the parking there. What typically happens is vehicles park in the batting cage parking lot area just along the fence of the dog park. And it seems like maybe it would make sense just to move that fence in 5 feet and you could legally have parking along the whole facing of the dog park, or I think there's other configurations that could be considered basically to allow, I think as a city-owned facility that, we operate for the residents, but don't provide the parking to support it is something I think needs to be addressed at some point. And speaking with the operator of the facility there recently, he certainly echoed those concerns. He said he's been wanting to come to the commission and to the council and plead for some relief of the issues that occur there. So I want to just put that out there.
Okay, we'll reach out to him and also we'll take a look at the area. Staff will take a look at the area. What will be the potential solution for more parking? But we definitely will reach out to the operator and hear his concerns.
Great, thank
Is
you
it
so much.
just the time of day?
It's particularly at like the 5, 6 o'clock time when most people are coming back from work and they have their dog. A lot of people do dog parks, but also the skate park. I mean, just from what I've seen going there, anecdotally with my son for many years now, since the batting cages opened, that has become increasingly popular. But also the skate park and the dog park seem like they've been increasingly popular from just what I've seen over the last few years. I keep seeing more and more cars, but certainly the batting cage facility, there is a turf area that gets used by an entire baseball team at a time. So you have 12 people all at once coming and parking, and there's only probably 20 spots there at most. So
It's kind of tough to get down the hill on foot too.
Yeah, there is no sidewalks or bike lanes or other access, and it is a substantial hill. So yeah, that whole
Yeah, we'll take a look at it and report back to the commission. Thank you.
All right.
thank you.
Commissioner Sharma?
No comments, no communications this evening. Thank you.
Commissioner Kuo?
Thank you, Chair. I saw job posting for Public Works in South Pasadena, so I was like, wow, great. So I wish you guys get good candidates in engineering and also water utility workers. So please let us know how it goes. When I started on this commission, I was handed a list of city council goals that included in areas of finance, infrastructure, housing, governance, and operation efficiency. I know the city's working on the quarterly update report. There's numbers of items related to infrastructure, so I'm hoping when that's ready, I can get a copy of that so I can get up to speed on all the progress. And if there's anything specific that should bring back for the commission for input, please let us know. And I look forward to future reports. Thank you.
All right. Philip, I see Councilmember Omari Ferguson enter the waiting room. All right, Councilmember Ferguson, do you have any communications?
Oh man, talk about timing. Jeez.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a lot of I reached out to Julian regarding this street. I'm trying to remember the name of this street. It's off of Monterey Road. I'm not sure. Is Julian in?
Yeah. He
You
is.
said Brunswick?
Okay.
He said
Yeah, Brunswick.
Brunswick.
Yes, Brunswick. Could you, I don't know if you have the, can you speak to that a little bit as far as where that ended up and kind of, I think you sent me a response to my email, but I think it'd be good for the public to kind of hear kind of what the approach is looking like and kind of where that's at.
Yeah, so the Brunswick needs a improvement of you're talking about the potholes, correct, Mayor Pro Tem?
Correct.
Yeah, so right now we're finalizing the on-call contract that the council has approved. There are three types of on-call contract that council allowed city staff to utilize. One is striping, and one is the asphalt cuts, and the other one's the sidewalk or concrete cuts. So we're finalizing those agreements. City attorney has, I think I just saw an email saying she just approved that. So once those gets finalized, what we're gonna do is we are gonna we're gonna allow them to come in and make not a not a permanent repair, but longer term repair. So that is not the cold temp where it gets loose after a couple of days, but it will be more of a semi-permanent repair that we'll do, and we will be utilizing Mayor Pro Tem's discretionary fund that he has allowed us to use. One other thing that we also know is that starting I think Sunday, um, I know that there's going to be significant rain events until Thursday. So staff, operations staff, is preparing for those events. So we are trying to plan to see if we could proactively fill the potholes that are there now, so that after the rain events that is not as significant. But we're trying to stay proactive with those potholes. But with the Brunswick, once the contract is signed, we're going to allow the contractors to come in and take care of that ASAP. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. That was one of the things that I wanted to touch on. I wanted to touch on we've kind of been doing some legwork around the bond measure as far as like for our roads, as far as getting something passed to try to figure out how we're going to get through our road repair program. One of the things that we had this consultant look at was kind of like a bond measure plus a library measure, or just a bond or just the roads by itself. And so what kind of came out of that kind of initial analysis and polling was that it's a lot less likely to pass. It's something that's going to require a 2/3 majority, a lot less likely to pass if it's bundled with the library repair. When that analysis was done, the school district had not brought up that they are their bond measure at that time. And so I've kind of asked that they revisit this in mind with the school district's planned bond in mind to see if functionally both of those would be able to pass, and how so make sure that we're aligned on that messaging, because it's like I said, it's going to need a 2/3 majority for that to happen. So I wanted to bring that up, kind of make commissioners aware of that. I wanted to talk about our sewer service charges. They are scheduled to increase to the tune of about over the next few fiscal years between this current fiscal year and fiscal year 2030 to 2031. They've seen what is it? It's in an operating cost grew about 20% over the last 5 years, and their income has only increased about 10%. So there's a gap there, and the LA County Sanitation District needs to kind of close that gap, and will do so with some fee increases over the next few years, about $3 each of the fiscal years. So wanted to point those out.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Ferguson. Always great to hear from you. And thanks for the update on the bond measure too. With that, I'll turn it over to staff. Do you have any staff liaison communications?
Yes, thank you, commissioners. I just want to remind everyone watching at home and in the room with us tonight that on February 23rd and March 5th at 6 o'clock, we're going to be at the library discussing the Fremont Huntington project. It's our first public outreach meeting. It won't be our last one. There will be another one in May. But both days on February 23rd and March 5th, the content will be very similar. So we're just having two events to be able to talk to as many people in the community as we can.
All right. What is the format of those meetings?
We'll have a presentation kind of highlighting what the project is about, what the goal is, how we got to this point, what funding sources we have. And then we do have some alternatives that we've prepared, very preliminary. We'll talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of each of the alternatives. And then we'll have an open house format where residents can walk around, look at some of the exhibits our consultant has prepared, talk to staff, talk to our consultant, and provide their feedback and comments.
Great. And how do you plan on advertising it? I know I've seen some emails already.
We have our social media posts, letting anyone following us on social media, notifying them. And then we have it on our city website as well.
All right. Any questions about that? Hope to see some of you there.
What time? You mentioned
Sorry,
the date.
at 6 o'clock.
Oh, 6.
Thank you.
Will it be recorded?
I don't believe so, but I can double check.
Yeah. I think it'd be good if we we record these meetings just so folks can go back and watch it if they can't come at that time.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. All right. With that, I think we've covered everything on the agenda. Thank you for everyone who came in person and provided comment, listened on Zoom. It's 7:46 and I'll call the meeting adjourned.